Hey, I'm Stanley. Welcome to my channel. So, I've made a few videos about this piece before, but strangely, not one about the main technique that you need to master this etude, voicing. I've played other pieces with voicing in it before, so I wasn't expecting this to be too difficult, but of course, I was wrong. I mean, it is a Chopin etude after all. There's so many voices in both the left and the right hand that it becomes this delicate balance of melody on top of accompaniment. As you can see from my first few weeks of practicing, it sounds pretty muddy. I'm having trouble getting the melody to sing clearly, playing it too similarly to the accompaniment in tone and volume, so it gets kind of lost and muffled. Especially when listening to recordings like this one, where the melody just sounds so clear on top of everything else. I want to aim for this standard, or as close as I could get to it anyways. I spent a good few weeks trying to solve this problem, and I'm actually pretty happy with the results that I achieved so far. I definitely made a lot of mistakes along the way, but I also learned a lot too. I want to share these learnings in case they can help anyone else who's studying this piece, or even another piece that has voicing in it. When I first started learning the notes and fingering for this piece, I used an exercise that I've done before in other pieces that has really helped me with voicing. I'll play the piece, but I'll stop and pause on the melody notes. Pausing on these notes allows you to really magnify in and focus on them. You're able to take your time and stop on these notes and practice putting more weight into the melody notes while keeping the other notes softer. Even though I'm putting more weight on certain notes, I'm also being conscious that I immediately relax my hands afterwards. With voicing, I think it can be pretty easy to keyboard, so I make sure I'm also practicing relaxing my muscles. But besides training your body, it also trains your ears to identify where the melody is being played. I find that with voicing, training your ear and your mind is equally, if not more, important than training your body. This exercise is really helpful in the beginning stages of learning to kind of separate out in your mind where the melody is and where the accompaniment is, and it trains your ears to listen for these notes. Something that I noticed when I recorded myself and listened to it back was that the sound had this muffled quality to it. I realized that part of what was contributing to that was the pedal. When I first started learning this piece, I was still used to playing on a keyboard and pressing the pedal all the way down without really thinking about it. But on an acoustic piano, you get so many nuanced sound differences depending on how much you push the pedal. With an electric piano, whether you press the pedal halfway down or all the way down, the sound effect is pretty much going to be the same. You can also just hold down the pedal indefinitely without getting too muffled of a sound, but an acoustic piano is not that forgiving. I played around with the pedal in this piece, and I found that pressing the pedal just halfway down created a clear sound while still having enough sustain to create legato. think the most important aspect of mastering voicing is understanding that it's our ears that control the sound, not our hands. Remember, it's our brain that controls our body. So when we listen very actively for the sound that we want, or in this case, what notes we want to be louder or softer, our brain then makes the adjustment in our bodies to do so. Once I feel comfortable with the fingering of a piece, I find that focusing my attention more on the sound itself rather than what it feels like in my hands a more effective way to control the voicing. That being said, one of the biggest mistakes I made when learning this piece was that I paid too much attention to the melody and not enough to the accompaniment. I would zoom in and hyper-focus on the melody, thinking that the solution to making it clearer was making it louder. But it wasn't until I listened to another recording of myself that I realized I was playing the accompaniment part way too loudly. I think I was so focused on the melody that I just completely ignored what was happening with the other notes. The next day, I try to focus my attention on listening to the accompaniment part instead, making sure that it sounded soft and delicate and airy. When I did that, the melody instantly became clearer. I know, it sounds kind of stupidly obvious when I explain it now, but in the moment, it really felt like a revelation. Being too focused on one thing and not the entire bigger picture was causing the problem. Once I realized this, I try to train my ears to listen for louder melody notes while simultaneously listening for soft accompaniment notes, making sure that my attention was equally focused on both. I would literally play the notes over and over and over, listening for this to try to ingrain it into my memory. I think that was what made the biggest difference in the end and created a result closer to what I was looking for. It's honestly so satisfying when you have an obstacle and you finally find the solution to it. With piano, I find that many of the solutions just comes from figuring out where to focus your attention. Maybe it's how much weight that you're using, or the position of your fingers or your arms, or in this case, where to focus your listening. I really hope that you found this video helpful. If you have any other tips for voicing, please leave them in the comments so we can all help each other and improve. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.